Yes, and so it's another Friday, the 17th February 2023, year of our Lord. We are still here, and it's my pleasure. It's one of the time I'm very excited. I'm very happy to see my people. I'm able to interact, chat with them, ask them certain questions they sometimes like to answer and sometimes they don't want to answer, which is fine. That is part of the joy of being a host on a program like this. And this is OtunbaHOO. Again, as I've said in my invite, with friends and people whom I believe that they have different backgrounds and they will be able to àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ oríṣiríṣi tàbá bí wọ́n kan máa sọ. Of course, you should expect different opinions. I cannot imagine that one from Germany, one from Nigeria, you from UK will be speaking the same, even though Yoruba, most of them. Some people have been even asking me, and this is the truth. See, invite Igbo, Igbo. It's just like one of my guests just said to me, Igbo làwọn obìnrin wà Ọ̀túnba. And I feel guilty, but I was able to tell him that àwọn obìnrin tá a bá invite wọn for some reasons, either àwọn busy, àwọn wọn ṣe whatever. We will avoid. I will avoid that next time. I'll make sure that there's a mixture of obìnrin and ọkùnrin. Without further ado, I want to get my guests to introduce themselves one by one, and then we can then get started. I must also say I'm still expecting two other guests, one from Germany. I'm sure he's going to join us very soon. So let me start from Mr. Adekunle. Please, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Ẹ kálẹ́ o, níbikíbi tẹ́ bá ti ń gbọ́ wa tẹ́ ti ń wò wá. Orúkọ mi ni Adékúnlé Adélẹ́yẹ. Ọmọ Ìlàjẹ ni mí ní Ondo State. Mo kàwé, mo dẹ̀ gboyè ní iṣẹ́ tá à ń pè ní international relations. Ṣùgbọ́n ní ìlú UK, but ṣùgbọ́n ní báyìí Amẹ́ríkà ni mo gbé tí mo dẹ̀ ń ṣiṣẹ́. I'm a private contractor ní insurance business. Mo dẹ̀ tún ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́ ní ìmọ̀. Orí ọ̀nà kan kì í wọjà. Òun ló dífá fún tíṣà tó ń tẹ̀kọ́. Mo believe in Yoruba nation. Mo believe.
Hello, Buki, I just sent you a link. Can you join me, please, in the studio? Okay. Sorry about that. Go on,
Okay. I was saying that mo believe in Yoruba nation lórí gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lórí gbogbo history Nigeria. Mo tún fẹ́ sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan láfikún pé ní the year 2020 mo lọ sí nígbà tí mo rò pé tí mi tí ì mọ̀ kí gbé mi mọ̀ ìwọ́jà tí mi tí ì gbàgbọ́ nítorí tí mi tí agitation yẹn no I take that back tí campaign tí ì létò yìí mo lọ sílùú Nigeria, mo lọ sí Ondo State. Mo lọ contest to be the governor of Ondo State. Ọlọ́run ṣe ìyanu. I was the candidate for my party, and out of 17 contestants, despite all the shenanigans of Nigerian politics, I still managed to come eighth. On to DJ. Ju gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ. Ní báyìí, títí láíláí, títí máa fi kú, Yorùbá nation, bá ṣe máa ṣe Yorùbá nation. Bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé kò ní pẹ́, kò ní jìnnà tí a máa gbà. It won't be long, and it won't be long that we'll establish Yoruba nation. In our lifetime, I think I can come out to say that we'll establish Yoruba nation in the next 1 or 2 years. It could be the shock is that it could even be earlier than that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Adeleye. Let me go to my guest from Nigeria. I think it's a learned colleague, Franklin Olufemi. We need to talk. You need to explain this Olufemi because Chinese man chan. But then again, you need to explain to me. Go on, Mr. introduce yourself.
Yes, everybody. Orúkọ mi, Olúfẹ́mi Franklin Olúfẹ́mi. My father's name is Olúfẹ́mi, and that's also my last name. And then my name is equally Olúfẹ́mi. So wọ́n máa ń pè mí Junior nílé, torí ẹ̀ lẹ ṣe rí orúkọ yẹn tó wá bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. I'm a legal practitioner in Nigeria. Till last year, I was actively practicing in Abuja
Mm,
with the law firm of Law Corridor with my colleague Pelumeda Jegbesi. Is a
yes.
very, very popular amongst us in the struggle for the Yoruba nation ideology and all of that. Right now, I'm in Lagos. I'm in Lagos right now, practicing out of the office in Lagos, and it has been wonderful. I am very, very, very committed and very, very, very serious about human rights and social justice when it comes to equity and the proper equilibrium of the quality of the human life. And that's why I believe I need conversation to the effect that ní gbogbo nǹkan tá a tẹ̀ ń wò bí gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣe ń lọ ibi tó ń yí sí tí kò dẹ̀ tẹ́ wa lọ́rùn gbogbo wa báyìí náà tá a bá ti come together ọlọ́run dẹ̀ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ pé a máa ní àwọn bá a ṣe máa sọ ọ́ sí tá a dẹ̀ máa fi formulate policies láàrin ara wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá àti àwọn ará àwa níta, and even for the good of the nation, the Nigerian nation as a whole, because whether we like it or not, we all have a stake in that nation as well. So
Thank you.
that's me in brief. Shigon.
Thank you. In between, I have the pleasure of welcoming a lady well known in the Yoruba campaign group. Her name she's popularly called Sister Buki. For some security reasons, and this has been going on for the last 3 years that we've been together in this struggle, we will not be able to see her face. Like I said, for security reasons, I hope our viewers will appreciate and understand that. She's not a ghost. I can tell everybody that 100%. One-on-one. She's not at all. In fact. So, Sister Buki, just give us a quick introduction of who you are. And I don't go into, as a lawyer, there's certain thing I'll tell you, don't commit yourself, don't say it, otherwise it's going to be used against you. Don't go. So can you give us just a brief introduction of yourself?
Okay, my name is my name is Buki Taiwo, popularly known as Sister Buki, and I am British born, but of Yoruba descent. So I come in two camps: one as a Yoruba origin, and the second is by birthright as a Briton. So, I am campaigning for the freedom of my people, my Yoruba people, which I believe, due to some unfortunate circumstances beyond their control, they have been roped into a system created by the British establishment. And we are all here, including myself, to right that wrong. So I'm I would say I'm a strong activist for any purpose that I see that there has been a wrong. I would say that if this what's happened to the Yoruba people was happening also to my British people, I would be also fighting for their freedom as well. But unfortunately, the British are not in the Yoruba situation. So since the Yorubas are encased into this space, I am part of that strong voice to make sure that the Yorubas are free from the space called Nigeria. And I'm hoping that once the Yoruba people are free, then the other spaces that have been created by these Europeans would also start to break up. So justice for the Yoruba people and justice for the whole of Africa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let me go. I need to double check. I have a guest here. I need to I'll come back to you, Mr. Richard Adekunle Shobayo. Let me quickly go to our one of our sons, illustrious son, Honorable. Here, when you see honorable in Europe, you are honored. You are really honorable person. Because at least there won't be a record of deficiency of Autiko Yeri or Alimejo. This one has not broken houses. I've known him for years. Honorable Sonny Lambert, can you introduce yourself to to our viewers all over the world?
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you for inviting me again. I remember last week we were on this,
Yes.
channel together. Thank you. It's a great privilege. Also a great privilege to also follow my dear sister Buki. Remember the first time we met was about 20 something years ago. Fighting for Nigeria, fighting for a voice for us in the diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora organization, UK and Europe. Nobody planned to stop, fighting for an independent or sovereign Yoruba nation at that point until when things go really, fell apart. Because we go back to our fathers, Baba Ulawo, even before them, we thought Nigeria was going to work just like a marriage, but it didn't work. So Sonny Lambe and a counselor in the UK, finding myself in this struggle, I think it was by accident. As I was saying, I didn't really plan that we're going to be fighting for Yoruba nation. But 62 years is more than enough for any marriage to work. And Orishapo Balegbemi, Shemibo Shebami.
Benny.
So therefore, over the last 3 years, I've decided that enough is enough. Go to get, let my people go. And
Okay.
we have to have a sovereign nation. And that is why I'm in this. I'm on this for the long haul until we secure an independent, sovereign Yoruba nation. Thank you.
So there's no probability of going back.
No.
Okay, thank you. Now I have another honorable guy from person from the Republic of Germany. When I know about Germany, it was Western Germany because it was a country that was divided east and west. But then again, today the whole thing has been merged since 1979, and it has been a great politics of a country, a people that are so great in anything and everything they do. I've always loved to go back to Germany, even though after almost about 30 something years that I left, it has always been an area that fascinates me. I love the country. Uh, Richard Adekunle Shobayo, can you introduce yourself to our viewers all over the world?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Richard Adekunle Shobayo. I'm from Nigeria, basically from Osun State, Osogbo to be precise. I'm a fisherist, and at the same time, by profession, I'm an analyst, business analyst, and I'm a consultant. I've joined the civil liberty organization in the past. That's to his late memory, Gani Fawehinmi. I was with that race at the point for some years. But from where we're coming from, in which I know the issue is still paining all of us, right? In Nigeria, the ban was dissolved. So since then, I'm happy. I'm happy to hear when I heard of Yoruba Nation, the movement. But there are still so many things in my stomach that I need to bottle out. I've spoke with my honorable Otunba many times. I try to challenge him on most of the movements, like ọmọdé tí ò bá mọ nǹkan ó máa fi ń kọ pé nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀, nǹkan tó ń lọ bó ṣe ń lọ lílé. So he made me to understand some grandeur around it, in which after speaking with him for some times, I decided to bring up the mantle that I have to be part of that race. I'm so happy to meet everybody here today, and together we will fight the struggle and we will conquer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Kule, with the honor, I mean, this might be God bestowed this on me. Again, like I said, every time I make reference to it, I get nothing for it. It's number, but then again, I can use it because of our culture to call each of you the first name, and I hope nobody is going to say, Uncle Miracle. No, I'm only joking. Now, I'm still expecting one person from Osun State. I hope he will make it. Now, I'm not going to go too hard on anybody. I just want us to appreciate one thing. Please feel free to say exactly how you feel. If I ask a question, say exactly how you feel. You're all free, and we have no reason to uh, package anything, because again, I'm trained as a political scientist and also as a legal person. And you will go to court and find different people with different opinions, and that's why you also in many countries you have different political parties and different political association and so on and so forth. Let me start with the lady. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, go on. Hold on.
I, I know you're going to start with the lady. I have no problem about that. I
No,
just
do
want
you
us
want to
to
say
know.
something?
Yes, I
Fabi?
just want us to know that I will be exiting the meeting in about 40 minutes time because I have a meeting
That's
till
fine. That's
in
fine.
about okay.
I hope also want to say that please, because of time, I just want us to please to limit answer to my questions to maybe 1 minute. I have a timer here, to make sure that everybody participates in this discussion here tonight. And also, while I'm going to suggest that if you still have the opportunity, continue inviting friends and family so they can join us also. And please, people who are watching this program, I beg of you, share, like, love, subscribe, and then also give the notification button. At first, I don't do it because I keep saying it. I'm used to where I sit in the studio, where people come and join us in the studio, put the light and everything, and then I've done it for many years. So, but I have discovered that if you don't tell people, some people just take it for granted. So that's why you don't have the followers I have does not necessarily mean I'm going to get anything for it. But the more followers I have, the better. So let me start with Sister Buki. Uh, somebody is gone off. Could that be from Nigeria? Auntie Mona Loni, eh? Buki, now you
Yes, sir.
2 minutes, 2 minutes, please. In this struggle, we cannot separate Nigeria from the struggle of Yoruba nation because they're interconnected, they're interwoven, they are still, as far as we are concerned, they are still connected. Now, tell me, what do you think about the thing? I mean, the way things are going in Nigeria, especially when you have this issue of currency, people among them are still millions of our Yoruba people still going through. Do you think we have good governance or is it bad governance or good governance that doesn't know what they are doing when it comes to the issue of redesigning the currency that's now affecting millions of our people back home?
Well, we need to take the problem down to the very root of the matter, and that is that you have nations within a geographical space, and you have nations that are not speaking the same language. They're not wearing the same clothes. They're not eating the same food. The Most importantly, the ideology is not the same. We do not share the same identity. So that is where you're now having a breakdown of one, communication. And once you don't have communication, then that means that your whole system starts to break down. We are not the same. There's one ethnic group that is trying to dominate the other. And that is why we're having this problem now. Because even if you're looking at the monetary, the change of the naira, the main reason in which Buhari, who is the leader of that space, gave yesterday was, although he put that point to the last as his last point, which was because of trying to stop the money, when they're vote buying, was one of the main reasons why he changed the currency. Aside from the fact that there's banditry, you know, the Boko Haram, the insecurity, and then there's also the disbursements of the naira that has just gone absolutely haywire. So you can see that the whole system is totally discombobulated. It's discombobulated because we are not the same. How can you have a whole space as big as that, and then you are now creating states out of countries? You can see that the whole thing is not making sense at all. So I'm not surprised at what is happening now. It's basically the going back to the root of the matter, and that is we need to separate, and and everybody go back to their own individual spaces,
Okay.
so that there can be order.
Thank you very much. Let me go to someone who is on the ground. He's in Nigeria, as far as I know. Femi, you heard what Lady Buki, I mean Sister Buki said. Will you agree that because of uh, we are not the same, because there's supposed to be Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba? Is that the reason for this backwardness, retardedness that we still apply into governance in Nigeria, where we hardly get anything right? What's your take? I can't hear you. You need to
Unmute yourself.
unmute yourself, yeah?
Okay, yes. So
Yes,
sorry about that.
that's
So
fine.
as I was saying, I do agree that yes, we are very, very different people from very, very different places. We're a very diverse nation, but I do not agree, and respectfully so, that that is responsible for our backwardness or our not making progress. I believe it's just the lack of will, or a self-centered propensity, of certain person to completely and continuously compete with others. For example, the United States of America is a very diverse country as well. They are made up of several other, I stand to be corrected. Well, I do believe that they're made of so many nationals, and so many people flocked into that country to make up what we call the United States. In fact, there are certain states that only joined the states several years after its independence. So to that extent, if they can manage a development that we have witnessed in that country, I think it's the presence of the political will to develop, and also a sincere disposition to nationhood. We were talking earlier, sir, before we went live, a sọ̀rọ̀ nípa nationalism. Mo dẹ̀
Yes.
sọ pé the problem ta ni pé as a people we are yet to come into the idea, the mentality of nationhood. Nationhood, we are not a people. Independence it came to us as an accident. Ó kàn happen to wa ni, to us ni. We are ready for independence. We didn't agitate for it the proper way. We didn't get it. It was gifted to us. And the independence that was gifted to us in the way and fashion and the manner that the quote unquote imperialists wanted to give it to us. So it was not about our own, based on what we believe to be the nation wanted to birth as a people. So I do believe that there's a process of developing into nationhood. I was saying earlier, I can count years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, but we are not looking at development. We are not developing we have not formed a forge. We have not formed, unity. We talk about Rome not being built in a day, but Rome did not just become an empire. Rome went out as Rome. Rome came back with conquest. Rome began to develop the mentality of conquerors. People became proud to be called Romans. There were different laws applicable to Romans compared to other countries. That's why you talk about the Jews gentum and the Jews civilly. The laws that apply to Romans are different from laws that apply to, citizens of Rome that are not Romans. So
Yeah.
there's something about being a Roman. So that is the idea. What is the something about being Nigerian? What is the idea of being a national of this country? Is there anything that we can collectively claim that it is what makes us proud as being Nigerian? It's not just as being a Yoruba man or Igbo man, but as being a Nigerian. And that is the missing link. We have not come to the identification of that unity. And until that happens, there cannot be a nation, because we are not a people. We are just like Baba who said, a geographical illustration. We have not come into identity.
Okay.
We have not realized the Nigerian dream. So it got problem. Everybody chases after his own interest. Okay, it's not my time, to enjoy the largesse of what we call our commonwealth. So where is the ideology of commonwealth? It's lost. We don't have anything like that, and that's why we may never get it until we understand that. That's why it is agreeable that the Yoruba nation will come and say, you know what, if you guys do not want to develop, we want to develop our people, we want to develop our identity, we want to develop our nation, because in as much as we are together as a people, as a nation, we must become that nation, or we have to develop separately. So these are the issues. I don't want to go beyond my time.
No, in fact, thank you, Femi. Again,
yes,
please, people watching this program, help us like, love, and subscribe to this, and help us share, so many people can also see the brilliant guests I have on my show tonight. And you're going to hear more as time goes on. Now, let me quickly go to America. I'm coming back to you, Kunle, in Germany. Another Kunle. For all these Kunles, I hope I'm not going to charge them for extra money. Kunle, what's your take on the naira that we design in such a shoddy, in such a manner that affects both Afoju Aditi, Asinwi, normal person, and some people are still taking advantage that because of connection. What's your take on this redesigning the naira as we speak?
Thank you, Olutu. I wasn't going to go. I was going to address the policy mistake with the design, with the change of the naira. That was my intention when you asked that question. But since Mr. Franklin Olufemi Esquire decided to involve semantics in his argument or his opinion, let me quickly address that. He mentioned America. America is a country that was formed by an idea, number one. America was formed by a people who came off the Mayflower. The Mayflower was a boat from the United Kingdom. And they met a people in America, the Red Indians. And they annihilated the Red Indians. And they became America. That was what gave them the principle of we the people. But in the case of Nigeria, we don't have a we the people. We're people of different.
I'll send it to you.
I'm waiting for you to get off the phone so that
I'll send it to you again. All right. All right. Sorry about that. It's another guest who's calling from Nigeria. Okay, go on, sir.
We don't have that we the people ideology instilled in us. We're a country formed by a business concept, different nations forced together, and I don't think we will never be one country. Much has been said about the differences in culture, in language, in our ideas. We shouldn't overflog it. However, with what Mr. Femi Olufemi just said, I think we should be clear. The problem, it's the foundation itself. We can't address the policy if we have a wrong, if we have a faulty foundation. Even the Bible says, if the foundation be faulty, what can the righteous do? This foundation is already faulty, and I'm sure the same statement exists in the Quran as well. Àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe náà, àwọn culture àwọn òfin sọ ọ̀tọ̀ ń sìn pé amúkùrẹ́ rù lọ́wọ́ lórí. So we cannot continue to say we have to believe in a country, a mere geographical expression, just as Mr. Femi Olufemi reminded us, and continue to force us together. We were amalgamated in 1914, and that amalgamation expired in 2014. Hong Kong had a similar experience, and by 1999, theirs expired, and they went back to their original home. China is their home country. So we must not continue to use semantics, double speaks, wrong grammar, legal profession, our own ideas to forge a very narrow and skewed narrative. But let me rest at that for now.
Okay, thank you very much. At this moment, I have the pleasure of welcoming another guest of mine right away from Ado Ekiti, Ado Odo is somewhere, and that's Osun State. If I know my geography, I'm not too sure.
Come, you don't know your geography, sir.
Okay, let me welcome Shegun Daniel.
Okay, I'm at the moment in Ekiti State.
In Ekiti State. Well, yes. You're welcome to this show. And
good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir.
If you can quickly just introduce yourself. So then
My name is Daniel Oseni. I'm a social commentator, political analyst.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oseni. Now, we've been talking about the redesign of the currency, and there have been different opinions. Even though you're on the ground, I'll come back to you.
Can I quickly say something, sir? Can I quickly say something? Because I said I was going to say something about the policy. What is wrong with the policy?
Yeah, we'll come to that because you already you've spent your two minutes. In fact, more than that. Let me go to Adekunle. I'm coming back to you, Alagba Sonny Lambert. Adekunle Germany. What's your take on this redesign of the currency? You see, what concerns me, what I'm trying to get out here, I'll tell you. Whether we're in one place together or in different places together, where we are now is in Nigeria, where millions of our people,
yes.
If I want to be gritty and say millions of Yoruba are suffering, they're not supposed to go through this, but that is what the situation is. And that's why I'm trying to find out what our individual takes on this. Alagwa Chubayo, what's your take?
Wow. Yeah, the currency redesigning, to me, is a blabberdash as far as I'm concerned. A total rubbish for me. Because the current one we're using, I don't think it's up to 20 years that we've been using the current one that we're using. And I don't believe changing or redesigning the currency is a way forward to repair the damage called Nigeria. Nigeria is a nation that is in an emergency, as an inhospital, that we are waiting for specialists.
Comatose.
Specialists.
That's comatose. Comatose.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. We are waiting for people doctors who will come and, diagnose what is actually wrong with this patient called Nigeria. So sleeping or waking up overnight is, as far as I'm concerned, I believe is a sort of a transfer aggression. Basically, Emefiele, or what's that guy's name? In collaboration with the so-called, don't mind my language, the Buhari that we call our president in Nigeria. You see, Emefiele is one time agitated to come on that seat, and I think he has a political structure that he wanted to be a president in Nigeria, and for the fact that he was let down, he believed the only way, right? Wọ́n ní mo gbọ́ Yorùbá púpọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo Yorùbá ni mí. Wọ́n ní tọwọ́ yìí ò bá tí ì kun èkúdà èèyàn kì í máa ń béèrè ikú tó pa bàbá ẹ̀. Èkúdà wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ó dẹ̀ ó mọ ọ̀nà tó fi jẹ́ pé ó fẹ́ destabilize most of the people because in the course of his campaign àwọn kan ti already agitate that maybe he wants to use Nigerian money to do his campaign because he already bought so many vehicles and all those things. Yet, issue. The issue here is the currency. How do we, in our own thinking, believe that because there is no difference in the nominal, there is a nominal and there is intrinsic value. The intrinsic value of the money is actually costing the country because the amount of money they set aside to reprint this money, if this amount of money is invested, maybe I'm talking like an analyst, but that is not what we are here for. Understand? The amount of money is used to redesign this money is a whole lot of money. If pumped into the economy of the country, it can boost the country. Yes. So we all should know that most of all this thing that is going on in Nigeria, understand, is a political gimmicks. It's a game. There is a particular game. People who don't want that country, Nigeria, to survive, the peace of the nation, to the people inside the nation to have peace of mind. Because there is what I read one article recently, but the article for now maybe I don't want to expose it out. The game behind the currency, the new currency.
Okay.
Yeah. So because we have to be careful too on what we put on here.
Yes.
Right. So there is a game that is actually going on between all these gladiators who are ruining the country.
Okay. Thank you.
And the fight is between them, which is affecting the nations. Yes. And the people of the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Dipoli. Because of time, let me now come back to London. Alagwa Honorable Sonny Lambe, what's your take on this redesign of currency? And before you go, you and I live in this country. I've been here since 1982, settled. And I remember there have been about 2 or 3 times, not many times, the change of currency. And even as you speak, if the currency that was changed 10, 15 years ago or 30 years ago is found in your house, there's a process you can take it to the central bank and then you can still get the value back. So, Honorable Sonny Lambe, what's your take with the ongoing redesign of the currency in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you, Otunba, and thank you to my brothers and the sister Buki who had already spoken. I think there are 2 points because they are the first question you asked. Unfortunately, you didn't ask or allow all of us to comment before we go to the next topic, which is about the currency. But let me start with the currency.
Still the same question of the redesign.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's just but in terms of the redesigning of the currency, to be honest, personally, I don't have any problem with it. And as you rightly mentioned yourself, we had Her Majesty who passed away last year, and then we have King Charles who replaced her, and therefore we had to make some changes to our own currency, to reflect the new guy in the block. So you can see, as you rightly said, the way they manage the process, where nobody even notice anything is going on until you have one of the denominations say, hang on, this it looks different. We have His Majesty instead of Our Majesty. That's the difference. Nobody knew to queue because there was a process behind it. I think what they did run, because I'm not defending the government. Any government can decide if they have a good reason to withdraw certain currencies, from circulation in the country. Whether there's an ulterior motive behind it, it's up to them. I don't want to go into that. However, is the way and manner they did it in a very unprofessional way that create chaos. You just have to look at how people curing, how people can't pay their bills, how people are crying, and then you feel that, hang on, do we really have a real government in that country? So that's number one. Then let me quickly touch on the first question, which about the Nigeria itself. Wọ́n ní àgò òjò tó rọ̀ òun ló kẹ́yẹlé pọ̀ má díẹ̀. Tí ò bá jẹ́ pé òjò tó rọ̀ tó kẹ́yẹlé pọ̀ má díẹ̀, Yoruba people, we are different. We are unique. We have a, well, I'm not saying we are faultless, but we have our own unique way of doing things. And my brother, Mr. Olufemi Esquire, Yoruba people were actually independent. We were a nation. We were a nation before the amalgamation of 1914. And we had our own government. So it was a trial. So therefore, the contraption called Nigeria, how long? Taba fọdún mẹ́wàá pilẹ̀ wèrè, 60 years we've been on it. When fọdún mẹ́wàá pilẹ̀ wèrè, ìgbà ló fẹ́ máa bugi jẹ. 62 years is more than enough, whether it's going to work or not. So therefore, it's time for us to go home.
Yeah,
Thank
Honorable, thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm coming. The way I set up my question is to warm up with the present situation where we are, and then move on to where we are going. And so far, so I think Mr. Oseni have been having challenges in staying on the show. I can imagine that is the problem of network where he is in Nigeria. Now, I'm going to take us to another area of concern that I assume all of us here we are Yoruba, and I can also imagine the majority of us here, for some commonality or whatever, we believe that Yoruba can do better, and we're in the wrong place. That's why I stopped you, because I'm still going to come back to where you are taking us in advance. Now, let me start again. This question will go to Adikule of America. As we speak, a large number of Yoruba people, let me be specific, many Yoruba people are saying, orin ti yí padà, things we have to readjust. Not that kípa àfẹ́ Yorùbá, àfẹ́ Yorùbá 100%, kò sí alternative fún, but the way things are now as we speak, a ní láti ṣe àwọn nǹkan kan tó yẹ ká ṣe, because ká jẹ́ pé ọ̀rọ̀ election ò bá wa láì kò bá wa ń sìn ni, maybe another story ni. So I've been asked many times, what do we do now? Ṣé ká ní káwọn èèyàn kan má vote ni, àbí àwọn tó bá fẹ́ vote kí wọ́n vote? So the question again is, for the way it is us election or one election, is that going to affect our journey? Is that going to affect our collective resolve that we just want to go? So what do you want to say to that? Then I'll pass the same question to everybody.
Thank you, moderator. A couple of weeks ago, I watched a show. There's this gentleman in Ghana, and Mr. Fatai Ogunibidu was his guest. He asked a similar question, and that, as far as I'm concerned, justice wasn't done to the question. Now, and a few days ago, someone asked me the same question, and this is what I said. Ọ̀rọ̀ voting kọ́ ni ọ̀rọ̀ wa ń sìn. If you remember, our leader, who I always refer to as our head of state, take it or you leave it. I'm very blunt, right? I'm from Ondo State. I say it like it is. Now, he wrote a letter to the current leadership in Nigeria. The leader, Buhari, did not acknowledge that letter. Buhari did not speak to that letter. Buhari did not respond to the letter until that is done. Until that is done, that is what we the Yorubas believe. What the Yorubas believe in, especially those of us that are campaigning for the independence of the Yoruba race. That is what we believe in. He has to. We must make him answer to that query. Because in the letter, which was made public, Professor Akintoye said a lot of things, asked for a lot of things, which we all know, which we're all aware of. Kò dẹ̀ tí ì dáhùn questions ìlú, kò tí ì respond sí àwọn demands wọ̀nyí. Until he does that, there must be no election in Yoruba land.
Okay.
That is my opinion. That is the opinion of so many speakers on Yoruba campaign. That is the opinion of Professor Akintoye.
Thank you, Mr. Adekunle. So you are saying there shouldn't be election based on your line of thinking, the mere fact that we wrote a letter to the current head of state of Nigeria, he did not reply, and because of that, there's no point.
Election Kolukon,
whatever. So okay, now this is a legal matter, no matter what anybody wants to say. Let me quickly go to Olufemi Franklin. What's your response to I believe you're also a Yoruba directly or indirectly campaigner, because you know the score, you know the problem. Oh, we're having challenges. I'm sure this is a Nigerian problem. People from Nigeria are coming and going. It's only we.
Somebody said there's no problem with Nigeria. How come it's not with electricity? I want him to come back and defend himself.
Yes, it's only we. And I'm sorry, I'm not. I just a joke. It's just I'm not making mockery of anybody. Now, let me go back, Sister Buki. While we are waiting, then I'll come to Adekunle and Honorable Lambe. Sister Buki,
Yes.
as we speak, election, the way things are going, nobody knows, because one day it could be a long day in life of politicking, politics, and so on and so forth. But let's be real. Let us be real for a minute. As it is, the election, you and I have families in Nigeria. If we tell them not to vote, if someone say, well, to come, as far as I'm concerned, I want to vote because we go lower Labour, we go lower PDP. Kí ni voting tí wọ́n bá vote yẹn effect wo ló máa ní lórí campaign àwọn àtàjẹ́ campaign for Yorùbá nation? What effect is it going to have? Because we need to know. Ṣé ó máa ní effect lórí wa on dìbò wọn dìbò kí ni effect ẹ̀ lórí campaign wa?
Well, I don't think it will affect our campaign, because the campaign is an ideology, and once you have key into that ideology, it's very hard to break it out of your system. I mean, it's the ideology that we're feeding on. That is why we are on this show today. We're not going to say, oh, once they've done an election in the space called Nigeria, then Yoruba nation, it's fin. No. We must begin to feed that ideology. It must become like a cancer where it must continue to grow. But how do we now continue? How do we now carry out that ideology? How do we now win the hearts and souls of our people? The election will hold for one main reason alone, and that is that we have not informed our people. It might seem as if we have, because we've been holding many rallies where we've been going around inside Yoruba land shouting Yoruba nation, Yoruba nation. But have we actually given our people a reason for having that sovereignty? Have we actually told them the reason why we need to have our own sovereignty? That has not yet been done. And I want to agree with Mr. Adekunle. Buhari or whichever leader must respond to our correspondence. But how do we now get them to respond when a majority of our people are still following the likes of Tinubu? When we haven't actually done the groundwork, even within our diaspora locations, we haven't done that. We haven't touched the Congress people. We haven't touched the MPs in the UK. We haven't touched various governmental parastatals in our various diaspora locations. So if we haven't done that, then how do we now get a head of state to respond? He's going to take it like a joke. So we have locked into that ideology, we still have quite a bit of work to do. So whether the elections take place or not, I don't think it should sort of stop our campaign, or it should stop the ideology of having a Yoruba sovereign nation.
Thank you, Sister Buki. For me, I have come up with a phrase and I say it to everybody loud. If somebody asks me, Otunba, any kamadibo, any kamadibo, kini reason ki kamadibo, I quickly say to them, Pomesi akpere ni, Pomesi akpere syndrome. Because if you pomesi akpere, you're not going to get any water retained in it. So somebody come and say every 4 years, like Councillor Sonny Lambert said, the last 62 years, anything. So Toshi Jepe Ori Wala Kinoshiwa. What do we do? The thing is, and when you're in another 4 years, it's not going to change your lifestyle. Is one of the people that cut off Lori internet. Let me quickly attend to 1 second part of the show. Hello? Hello? Network. Okay. I will yeah, okay. Bye. Oh, okay, I will do that. Okay. Give me a minute or two. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's location Nigeria for
In
you.
fact, the two of them are calling, begging to get them.
Wow.
But what? Let me before I give it to you. Let me go to Alagbat Dekule from Germany. Adibo. Probability that this Igbo is going to go. But then again, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to say, the probability that this particular election, that indeed the last 60-something years, might make a lot of changes that might be more beneficial to us. This is for we as a group that we want to live. Because there's going to be katakata. I cannot see any of them winning that will not complain, that will not lead to violence and all that kind of thing. But are we really ready? Kunle, are we really sorry, are we really ready to take Kagbebagua, can they move on? Up to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Taking me back to a slogan, 1990, Hope 1993 or something like that, if I could recollect. Many people's franchise have been stolen away in Nigeria. So many people have lost hope in elections. Whether there's election or there is no election, it doesn't change any situation in Nigeria as we speak. But I'm very sorry. How far? How far has Yoruba Nation reached out this to every nooks and corners of the doors of Yoruba Nation's member or people who are actually agitating for this, that okay, we are not going to vote. Effort, pressure, or how have we gone? How has Yoruba Nation gone about this? I will personally say, maybe on the scale of 100, maybe to me 25%. Right? I'm sorry to say that.
25% of what are you saying? 25% of what?
25% of going out there to make Yoruba Nation not to vote.
Okay. I just want to get it right. I recognize you.
Okay, Adekule is raising up his hand.
No, I recognize. Finish your thought, please.
Okay. Now, I did not see. I've not seen any. I've not heard or see any efforts around it. If not, by now, Atimama Gbokakiri and Yoruba Nation inside themselves, Yoruba Nation. If there is no division or disunity, we should be able to stand. And by now, cut my spread, maybe flyers or electronic messages It depends on the population of Yoruba nation that is on record and how fast electronic messages would have gone to every member that, okay, we are standing on this point, nobody is going out there to vote. But as we speak, so many Yoruba nation members do not know that whether they have to vote or not.
Okay. Yeah, I agree
So
with
there is still homework with the office of the Yoruba nation.
Okay. I'll come to
So
you.
I support no election.
Yes,
in summary.
Thank you. Let me announce that the two Nigeria, they're gonna come back again. It's always a guy. We understand your problem. By the way, we know you are going through hell. So it's that's my understanding. Network is not all that good in part of the country.
Yes, yes. The network is a very big problem here.
Yes, I have
Sorry about that.
lawyer Franklin back. I also Daniel Oseni is also struggling to get connected. Now,
don't use the video. Don't use the video.
Okay.
Just it might
help.
Make it help better.
Yeah,
Connect
we
up
see your
better.
face.
Yeah.
Franklin, do you hear that, sir? Maybe you can
Yes,
stop so we still hear your voice. Alagba Adekunle Adeleye, what are you trying to say to that Adibo Akmomisakpere, whatever we are doing? You have responded, but what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, mo kàn fẹ́ sọ fún olórúkọ mi pé at the end he came back home, but mo fẹ́ stress pé number one, gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ló mọ̀ pa agitation campaign wa pé a fẹ́ kúrò 100%, let me say 100%, no mọ̀ pé a fẹ́ yọ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà. Number two, perhaps belatedly la ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní pariwo kó má dìbò, but mi ò mọ ibi index tó ń lò láti come to the conclusion pé only 25% of Yorùbás wọ́n mọ̀ pé ká má dìbò. Let me tell you something, sir, Mr. Shobayo. Àwọn Yorùbá míì ní láti sọ fún àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n náà fẹ́ pọ̀ jù pé kó má dìbò. From time immemorial, we've always known the Yorubas to be educated, to be enlightened. They can see wọ́n mọ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́, wọ́n mọ̀ nǹkan tó ń lọ nílùú. So ní láti sọ wọn, the only thing the Yorubas will not do is use violence, start violence. Ìdí pé tó bá gbé bẹ́ẹ̀ fún Yorùbá níṣe o. Irú ní ilẹ̀ Igbo ń sìn, in the southeast of Nigeria, they have killed a lot of people. They have burned several offices. They have done all that. But àwọn kì í tètè ṣe nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀. Ìjà tí ọmọ Yorùbá bá máa jà, tí wọn ò ní win, Yorùbá ò kì í jà o. I just want us to remember that. Okay.
I agree to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Franklin, when you are away, we are talking about the ongoing election. I mean, the election coming up. And the question is, kí ni effect wo ló máa ní lórí struggle àwa Yorùbá láti make comment àti dẹrù wa pé we are going. So do you think, as somebody on the ground, as also a lawyer, tí mo mọ̀ pé season yìí máa dé máa tó bẹ̀ sí kákòkò ń sìn, ìwé tí ń sìn, kò sí election kankan tó conclude without going to either tribunal or going to the court. Now, on a more serious note, you as Alagbasoni, I'm coming to you, sir. You as a lawyer in Nigeria, do you think our election is it going to have any effect on the campaign of whether the Igbo want to go or they want to go, or why they want to separate? But for us, we Yoruba, do you think this election is going to have any effect on that struggle?
Thank you very much, sir. Sherry, Amy Bai, as a lawyer and as a Yoruba man, I might deviate a little bit from the premise that our elders thought he explored earlier. And the reason is, from my understanding of the democratic process, if there must be the evolution of a new nation, it will come out from an existing nation. and there's what you call the status quo, the process as it is. Now, there are two ways to achieving revolution. You can either achieve revolution by negotiation and conversations and peaceful agitation, or by violence. Now,
Yes, you got to be married now.
no. The first one,
Only two.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying in essence is the constitution of Nigeria, even though most of us, a lot of times have made arguments against that constitution epitomizes, is the embodiment of the status quo as it stands right now.
Yes.
And it represents the existing legal order. Now, that constitution anticipates revolution, but the revolution is not written on the pages of the constitution.
That's true.
It is if there is any action or anything is done to upset or to offset an existing legal order in such a way that creates a radical change in that legal order that is not anticipated by that legal order, that is a revolution.
Yeah.
Now, back to the issue of election. Election is like a fluid that allows government to run in a democratic system.
Yeah.
Now, if we are talking about elections today, we have agitations, that we want to birth a Yoruba nation. But this election is a going concern. I would advise, both as a lawyer and as a Yoruba man, that this existing going concern, which is going to be the phoenix out of which a Yoruba nation will come out from, should be monitored very, very carefully, and that parties, Yoruba people, and every other persons should actively participate to ensure that their influence is felt in that process. This is my position. This is my own position. That their influence is felt and they safeguard their own interest in that electionary process, so that when we are beginning to extract, or we are bringing about revolution, that peaceful revolution, that peaceful agitation that will bring about the Yoruba nation, we would be able to say that yes, it is out of the stake that we have in this edifice called Nigeria that we have a right to demand for this nation. Because if we do not make that decision, we might not have sufficient tenacity to bring about the Yoruba nation, and we might face more opposition when we are now beginning to bring about the Yoruba nation. And I say this very, very carefully. I say this very, very carefully because I can tell you, as a matter of fact, I am in Nigeria here, and I'm a Yoruba man. And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that in as much as we, Yoruba people, we are agitating towards this Yoruba nation, we are not yet, I have not seen, and I think one of our elders here also noted that, I think it's Mr. Adekule from Germany, noted that he has not seen that the audacity and the tenacity that follows that determination fully amongst Yoruba people. A lot of people are still not determined. Some people are still, either here or there. So until we have come to that fullness of mind, we must midwife the existing process to ensure that we have the foothold to make that decision when that time comes. This is my own opinion on it.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to go to Councillor Sonny Lambert, but I quickly want to point an area of law also to you. You will appreciate that in changing any of the acts or laws or rules or whatever, there's always a process and procedure, and the simple calculation will never make your route make it possible. That's the truth, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
if we go through the 774 local governments and then yes or no, and then go through this, we end up have to vote on it. Not
Yeah.
too long ago, about a year ago, the same exercise was carried out. And what was the outcome? The outcome is less than 11 states participated, and less than 20 something percent voted for some silly, wobbly amendments. But let me quickly go to our Honorable Sonny Lambert to respond to your comment. I mean, your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think I was inclined to agree with Mr. Olufemi to some point, but I would rather try to explain the area where I actually don't agree with him. I want to throw the question back to him whether he understands what is meant by constitutional force majeure, because we are living in a constitutional environment where everything we do is by law. And if you understand that principle, then you also probably understand the matrimonial force majeure, because they are similar. Now, if
Mm,
you apply the same principle side by side, you will
mm.
notice that Ninas started that process. And
Mm.
Nina is not a one-man wagon. It's a
Yes, sir.
collection of so many nationalities in Nigeria. And the
Yes, sir.
process started even over almost
Ah, ẹ bá ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa náà ní London o. Nítorí ṣe wọ́n lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, nítorí ṣe wọ́n lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ló ń ṣe.
oyè
I
tó
don't know
kárí
what's
kú
good.
ó sì padà wá.
Ṣé
Mo fẹ́ sọ
NEPA
pé oyè
múná
tó
lọ ni?
mo fẹ́ sọ pé oyè tó kárí
So,
ìlú náà ló kárí òde.
so I hope that so you see, so all those processes have been going on in terms of who to serve up to the United Nations and all the different, even ECOWAS, AU, and so on. You see, you talk about election. This is where it links with election. If you want chaos, you can go on the street and stop people from exercising their their democratic right. You can't stop
Yeah.
it. But both of them can go side by side.
Right,
It
sir.
doesn't stop
Yeah,
us. It does not stop us at all. However,
absolutely.
what constitution order the president that's going to be elected is going to implement his policies and so on. What constitution of that? Because there's no constitution at the moment. As you know, the Nigerian constitution is already dead. In terms of the processes that have been taken over the last few years, up to December, was it December last year or year, it's already dead. You cannot use the Nigerian 1999 constitution because it's flawed. And people have already, the nationalities that form Nigeria already said they do not believe in it. So therefore, those who are, rather than they coming together and say, okay, let's see what another constitution we need to put in place, they decide to use the same constitution that's been refused by our people. So this is where the problem is going to come after, is it 25th of May election? This is where even the lead fight, if it doesn't start before then. So you may see an explosion. I don't know what kind of explosion, whether word of mouth or constitutional explosion, I don't know. But those who are now campaigning, I think Yorubas, especially from the Yorubas, I can't speak for the Hausa and the North, but I think we are smarter than this. We are more intelligent than this. What we should have done is to look at the constitution, whatever way we want to go, whether you want to create a space for people who want to go, or those who are fighting for regionalism, restructuring or whatever, is to set up a committee, an interim government, to look at that and then allow the nationalities that own the mandate to then decide which direction they want to go. So it doesn't stop us at all. All I know is that Yoruba nation is going to be free. It's a matter of time.
Guarantee. I mean, I subscribe to that. Let me, yeah, okay. Just 1 minute, Alagbadikuli. I need to go
Yes,
back. Yeah.
I'll probably exit this show in the next
Okay.
few minutes,
No
and
problem at
I
all.
want to quickly
You're
say,
welcome. I want
I
to
want to quickly,
appreciate.
all right,
I
I
want to
want to
appreciate.
quickly say that even though Mr. Olufemi Esquire has used a lot of legal jargons to express his point. I just honestly, I just want to ask you, and this is a very honest question: are you a constitutional lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You're a constitutional lawyer. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So, in what ways have you personally? That's my first question. Have you personally, and your office, your legal office, have you challenged the Constitution of Nigeria? That's my first question. Number two, it's not a question. I just want to say you have asked the Yoruba people to participate in this election. That is the only means by which we can actualize that our voices can be heard. But aren't you, and I think it has become a question now, aren't you, in a way, asking us to put a stamp of approval to an already flawed constitution, to a fraud, to an illegality? That's my question.
Okay.
The other things you said are quite right, but those are the areas I'm questioning you on. Thankfully, you said you're a constitutional lawyer, because there is a lack of constitutional lawyers in Nigeria, and I appreciate you for being one of the few.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
If I can give Mr. Olufemi just 1 minute to respond to what Alagbadi.
Okay, sir.
Just 1 minute to quickly.
Okay, sir. Sir, the question he asked cannot be answered in 1 minute, but I'll just try and just say one or two things about it. I'm sure that the opportunity will present itself in the future where we can more elaborately look at these matters. But when you said what you said about the flawed constitution, yes, the constitution of Nigeria as it stands right now indeed has a lot of weaknesses, and this is me taking it very, very carefully, because when we say a constitution is flawed or that we do not have a constitution, the effect of it is that we do not have a system of government. We do not have a legal order. In fact, we do not have a country. That is the effect of it. Because
I rest my case. I gotta go. You've answered my question. I rest my case. You yourself, you said it.
You answered
I rest
it.
my case.
The
good thing. Before I go, the good thing.
There's no marriage. There's no marriage.
You use a lot of obas and force majeure and all that.
Okay.
The good thing. Quickly, because I want to go now. I have to go to a meeting.
No, please. Joe, if you want to go, just 1 minute. I will allow you to just 1 minute, because I have a couple of other things I want to discuss. And as you can see, there are many people.
Yes. The good thing, you and I, and most of us here, apart from the financial guru, most of us here, we are graduates of humanities, and that discipline gives us the ability to reason, to come up with ideas. But unfortunately, when it comes to law, you are cocooned to a corner. There is a limit to which you can go, despite you coming up with constitutions and amendments and all that. Despite you, particularly, being a constitutional lawyer, and you didn't answer that question. That you yourself, how many times have you challenged the Constitution of Nigeria? You didn't answer that. Thank you very much, our guests. And I'm looking forward to coming on air with you, Mr. Olufemi.
Yes, sir.
Or you're a lawyer, or you're a nation vessel.
Question more robustly.
Next Friday, inshallah, I will then arrange again, probably reassemble you guys again. For those of you who have time, I'll be too pleased to have you again. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. Dekule. Have a lovely weekend. Now, in order to not to be too partial, I understand Mr. Shegundane have been struggling, doing everything possible to get him on board. For some reasons, he just succeeded in doing that. But again, what can I say?
Wow.
It's the problem of Nigeria. When I call him, I'm going to allow him to comment on the 3 items we have discussed so far. Just 1 minute or 2 minutes. But before I go there, let me go back to Sister Buki. Is anybody want to say something about the election again? Adekunle from Germany, you want to say anything about the election again?
Yeah, well, the election will, by and large, for now, I will advise, if anybody wants to vote, they can go ahead and vote. It doesn't change anything.
Okay.
Doesn't change anything as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't change anything.
Okay.
The Yoruba nation still moves on.
Yes.
We will not rest until we get what we want. Because when you looking well like lórí.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Tí Yoruba nation ò bá dìbò, and àwọn ọmọ Igbo, àwọn what do they call them? Àwọn náà agitate pé wọn ò dìbò. Ìlú máa scatter completely.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
If we have, if tabale yẹ ọkọ ká kọ fi hẹ, ká fi gẹrẹ síbẹ̀, why we continue with our movement?
I disagree.
Why we continue with our movement until we get that movement? I'm okay.
Yes.
I disagree.
Okay. Now, Alagba, Honorable Sonny, let me quickly go to Nigeria. Now that this guy is on now, I don't know how many more minutes he wants to. Mr. Seni, why you have been up and down like yo-yo or whatever? We have discussed 3 areas, and I quickly want to give it to you. We started by talking about the redesigning of the currency, all the hazard, all the trouble it has given to people. People have killed themselves. People have committed suicide. Different kind of thing has happened. You're on the ground, and I'm sure you must have been through the change of buying or using the naira. Then the second area is the area of we're thinking of this election. Is it going to have any effect on our struggle, Yoruba? I think those are the 2 major areas. If you can quickly comment on them, then hopefully you're still going to be around. Then I can take everybody then to the next level of declaration, proclamation, situation, and occupation. But quickly comment on those 2 things that you missed.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I sincerely apologize for the situation of the network in Nigeria. My inability to quickly join on the group. The redesign, I will actually say that's a wrong nomenclature for what is happening to the currency of Nigeria. Nothing is being redesigned. Rather, the currency is rehinged. I've not seen any design.
That's another one.
I think that was a ruse that was sold to the presidency, and no one has actually tried to help him open his eyes and see that the whole package itself is a ruse, because the currency was not and is not, has not been redesigned in any form or shape. But I will give it to them that it's been rehinged. Color changed from this to that. That's it. That's the only thing that have happened to the currency. So be that as it may, at one point I've actually considered that it's a good policy. But if a good policy has a bad intention, I will tract my step to say that in its planning, in its title, and the possibility of the reason behind it makes everything to be a false on Nigeria. It's entirely a falsehood that is placed upon Nigeria, because it was timed to cause chaos. It was, CBN is supposed to be outside of the political arena. I've seen consistently the CEO in terms of, in the name of, in the title of the governor of the central bank, talking about trying to stop vote.
Oh, well, again, well, we need to make do with this.
Mr. Olufemi Esquire, you still don't want us to leave Nigeria. See what is happening.
Now,
what is happening?
We are facing it here.
let me take you guys, because of time. Let me take you guys to an area that has been very popular. It's been trending in the Yoruba to be Yoruba. Let me put it that way. I want to start with Sister Buki again. The thing that's been going on with the Yoruba campaigners is that we have a situation when one of us, I cannot take that away. One of us said he has declared, that was November 2020, 28th of November 2022, that he has declared, he has reclaimed, and he has now occupation and is now sharing the. Now, Mr. Buki, do you know all these words are used? Have
Yes.
you have you seen any evidence of uh, that what that one of us said, that the declaration? Have you seen anything to discuss with us here? That yes.
No, well, I'll come out and see what it and say it for what it is. It's literally a power tussle between our current leader, Professor Akitoye, and I will mention the name, Mrs. Onitiri. It's just a power tussle, and I think it's just unnecessary. I don't see the essence of all the declaration, you know, reclamation, occupation, and now it's bossing or etore or something like that. You know.
Don't bite your tongue, go. It is your Yoruba.
With all due respect, I mean, I've listened to Mrs. Onitiri, and I have made comments on her and on the show, on the media platform that she's using to, make her submissions. And I've listened to her utterances, and I have warned that what she's doing is actually inciting insurrection. And that's a very, very dangerous thing that she's doing, because even though we say yes, we do want to come out of, or we do want to sort of disengage ourselves from Nigeria, but we are still within that Nigerian state. So we cannot be seen to be showing to be, performing any violent acts such as insurrection, which comes under treason, which in turn, the Nigerian state could easily proclaim our campaign, which is actually under self-determination, as a terrorist movement. And there's a lawyer here that could possibly tell me whether what I'm saying is right or wrong. We are campaigning for a sovereign nation under self-determination. Under self-determination, there is no violence. We are campaigning for a peaceful exit out of Nigeria. Mrs. Onitiri's submissions are going the opposite direction, which is insurrection. I've said it on her show, and I'm now saying it on your show, sir, so that she hears my voice and she knows that it's me, that I am actually telling her that what she's doing, in all due respect to her, is not helping our cause. It is actually bringing it more harm. I am a great believer that we are all fighting for the same Yoruba nation. So instead of us going in opposite directions, we should all be helping ourselves and holding our hands.
Thank you.
So, I don't believe in her declaration. I don't believe in her reclamation. In fact, I don't believe in any of her utterances, because it's going against the grain.
Okay. Thank you very much. Because I'm not seeing the face of Richard, I wanted to ask Adekunle from Germany, what is his take? I'm sure he must have heard about this declaration of communication, and that kind of thing. But let me quickly, I want to come back to you, Olufemi, because you're on the ground in Nigeria, because I want you to help us uh, explain what the rules are when the someone or somebody or some people make a declaration, a nation within a nation. I'll come back to you as the last person. Tell about mine. Let me quickly go to
Okay, sorry.
Lambert. Honorable Sonny Lambert, you
Yes.
you are sure, I'm sure you are used to, you must have had these declarations to legislation,
Yes, I had
all the churches
I had a occupy,
occupied.
reclaim,
I think
those
they've gone
all
past the, they are now they are, I think they are now sharing
well,
positions.
all kind of. I mean, I'm setting up interim, government, cabinet,
Yes,
and so on. I mean,
yes.
to be honest with you, that's what raised the first set of alarms in my ears. Hang on, in ìlú tó lọ́ba tó níjòyè, you still have it, whether perfect or imperfect. You still have a functional government,
Mm,
and say you want to go and occupy. You've given governor that. First of all, give me a lot of concern. That's number one. Of course, whether some people that is alleged that she's being used by some people to frustrate the what they call it, agitation process and so on. Of course, even let's leave that aside. Just like the currency thing, whether the ulterior motive, let's leave that aside, as I said earlier. So let's leave that aside. For one person to say I'm forming I've got a group of people to form the cabinet. I mean, I've never had that in my life, unless a new thing. So that first of all worried me. And you have other people, as Mr. Buki rightly said. Yes, of course, their power to sue Taluga Julaba. I'm the leader, you are the leader, rather than us uniting together and say, okay, this is the direction we are going. And that's how has always been the problem of Yoruba people. If you go back to the 60s as well, if you go back to the 50s, even before the independence, I mean, if you go to the time of wet here and all the rest of it, there has always been that problem. However, we always find way out of it as well. So coming back to the agitation and whether we're going to get our Yoruba nation or not, I'm still convinced we're going to get, and I'm still convinced whether this election takes place or not, we're going to get it. It's just that the obstacles that has now been created is probably making the process a bit more complicated than should have been. Because personally, what I would have gone for, if you listen to Baba Professor Akintoye's last press release, he said, I mean, apart from all the things he said, which I've just said without repeating that, but he said they could have we could have had some mileage to the movement, to the process, to the achievement of Yoruba nation if those infighting which came through our dear mother, sister Onitiri had not happened. This declaration had happened because that could have created a lot of havoc if they had gone up with their plan. So, what I'm appealing to all of them to do now, all of them to come together, and if they truly believe that Yoruba people should be free, then come together and work out their differences and let's have one voice. Kafi
mm,
Moshokan, but it can still happen. And I believe, whether election or no election, Yoruba people are going, and we're almost there.
yes, thank you. Richard Adekunle from Germany. We are talking about the trending words. Àti gbàjọba, àti declare, àti ṣe proclamation, àti
Until they
ṣe
claim.
kinní kan occupation. So as it is now, and the beauty of media, there's nowhere in the whole universe that anybody will say wọn ò gbọ́ nípa gbogbo àwọn words wọ̀nyí. Declaration, nomination, civilization, gbogbo everything ṣọ̀wọ́n yẹn. What's your take? I mean, some of us see it as a shenanigan. Some of us, like I said, when you are not on the seat, I'm going to get the final word from a lawyer from Nigeria who is on the ground to tell us what all this really mean. What's your take? What do you think of this declaration occupation?
Well, yeah, fine. Actually, I've not heard of this in full. But to me, this has been one of the major problems in Yoruba land. It has been a major problem. when they are fighting for a struggle, understand, at a point, okay, if going back to the days, I'm very sorry to use OPC or whatsoever, you can imagine at a point there's a division. One person will want people wants to have say. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's power drunk or whatsoever. People just want it. I don't know who that woman is competing with, whether it's with Baba or whatsoever, and all those kind of a thing. I don't really understand. I don't know where that is coming from, and I don't know what actually she's aiming at. So for me, I believe it's just a tussle, a kind of,
Struggle, power struggle.
So I don't want to talk about it. We Yorubas, from the days of Afonjari, going back to so many in lineage of Yoruba, even where Abogunde said, "Ki Yoruba ronu ki enu wa ki oko." But if we don't deal with this bane, there's still a lot of work to do.
Yes,
They're coming for, yeah, there's still a lot of work to do. They're going back to the whether Yoruba nation will come to stay. Yoruba nation will come to stay, with or without election in Nigeria. Because election in Nigeria, even to me, I believe is a taboo.
yeah.
It's not it's a taboo. Oh, yes. Because whether they vote or they don't, they already know who is going to be on that seat.
Yes.
So it's just they are just trying to paint black gray. Understand? So I think for my submission, because I don't even have enough time again, Yoruba nation will come and it will stay. Let's just hope on that with a better struggle.
Thank you very much, Kuli. Now, again, like another thing, there are two major events or two major area of things in life. It either had to be political or legal. I mean, my London friend will confirm that. As it is, where anywhere in the world do you know, or what does the Constitution of Nigeria uh, provides for, that if someone either within or outside declare another nation within a nation, there are going to be multiple questions, Femi. Uh,
Yes, sir.
what's the rule? What does the constitution of Nigeria, which I'm sure you are vast in it more than that of Ghana or Uganda. What does this constitution? What does the constitution says in Nigeria, that if someone declared a nation within a nation, and they have already occupied that space they are talking about, because it's going to be a space. So have you seen changes on the ground? And secondly, what are the consequences if this declaration are not correct?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. The first thing is, when it comes to issues like this, it is multifaceted. It's not a question you can answer from one angle. Number one, you answer it from a constitutional angle. Number two, you answer it from a state recognition angle in international law. So there are different areas to answer it. But before I go on to answer all of that, I will just say this first, as most of the earlier speakers also noted. Even the Bible says it that a home divided against itself cannot stand, and two work together except they agree. So I think the first thing that's most important is agreement, even amongst us Yoruba people, because tabaseka wo ẹ bá rí pé láàrin àwa Yorùbá gan àtúnyàtọ̀. A tún ní àwọn different dialects, different cities, towns, within the Yoruba nation. So we don't make the mistake of becoming divisive at this point and now start making a different identity amongst ourselves, whether with respect to interest or whatever it is. It will be very, very dangerous to us at this point to allow those divisive tendencies to sprout or to germinate. So back to the statement that was made. Now, the president, the office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as appointed by the Constitution of Nigeria, has one major responsibility, and that responsibility is to protect and defend the sovereignty of Nigeria. So the president has a responsibility to protect and defend the sovereignty of Nigeria. Now, a threat can come against the sovereignty of Nigeria in different ways. It could be international threats, and it could be threats from within. So anybody that makes a bold statement that, or I'll call it a reckless statement anyways, because in as much as self-determination is a fundamental right that is not only recognized by the Nigerian Constitution, but recognized by the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights and all other international conventions on human rights. Self-declaration is a fundamental right that you have as a human being. It's not a right that someone gave you. It's a right that comes with you by the nature that you are a human being. But the process of achieving self-determination must be carefully midwifed, must be carefully guarded. And there are several, as Honorable the Councillor Sonny has noted earlier, there are several ways to come about this. There are several systems, there are several events that might occur that you might not even anticipate. You know, he was talking about constitutional force major and all of that. These are events that are, you know, incidents that have occurred successfully in some other climes, and nations have been born out of those events, out of those processes. So Nigeria as a country can also transcend and move along the line, you know, of negotiating and understanding. And the Yoruba nation, in our agitation, we can actually build and develop ourselves and bring ourselves out of the nomenclature called Nigeria, you know. But if we go about and say and start making such what I call reckless proclamation, then which to my mind is actually cosmetic, because when you hear about declarations like the American Declaration and all of that, you know that it's coming out of a process, an event that has actually a supervening event that has happened. Yes. But we don't just wake up in the morning and just make a proclamation or make a declaration. That's a cosmetic declaration. It has no force of law. It has no force of nature. It has no force of the incidents. It's just a declaration. That type of declaration is intended to only cause mischief and to cause division. That is my own position. And it has the legal effect is that it's even criminal. Well, it's criminal that if the government of the day should decide to go against it and use that person as a guinea pig, quote and unquote, you know, to show a force of might, it could be detrimental to the noble and the honest motive and drive of our collective goal of achieving the Yoruba nation. Yeah, so I think that that's a very careless declaration that I not encourage personally, and I believe that we should all be in one voice with unity to drive towards our destination, and we should not allow divisive elements that will pull us down or that will draw the wrong attention to ourselves. Sister Buki said it very, very clearly and very unequivocally. She said these things are the things that will bring about being proscribed. You know, where a government wants to force the silence, they go ahead and proscribe, you know, a very honest move and proscribe them as terrorists. You know, yes. These are the issues. So we have to explore everything carefully and drive our noble intentions within the precincts of non-violence, of peaceful agitation. And as Honorable Sonia has noted, it will definitely come to the point where we achieve what we want to achieve. Okay. So that's my standpoint, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Kule, I saw you raising up. Yeah.
Yeah, I beg to leave. I have something to quickly attend to.
No problem at all. I want to appreciate you all the way from Germany. And
thank you very much, So that's
You're
anyway.
welcome.
Okay.
time
Nice
I,
permitting,
to
I,
see you. Yeah.
Thanks for joining
I
us.
hope I hope to be here again.
yes, thank you very much.
Very,
Sure.
Regards.
very interesting.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so
Have a
much.
lovely
Yeah.
weekend.
Thank you.
We
Thank
speak.
you. Yeah.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
thank you.
Mr.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. The other part, which maybe what I want to hear, what you have not, you've explained to me the consequences that goes with that kind of a recklessness. I agree with that. I take that on board. But I'm still saying, or maybe let me put it this way: have you, as someone who is on the ground, have you noticed any changes in the governance of Lagos State that has been taken over by another government?
So, sorry, sir. I didn't get that, sir. Sorry, I didn't get that, sir.
Otunba, you troublemaker.
He's a
Have
trouble.
you,
Yeah, I can see that.
have you noticed any changes in the governance of Lagos? I don't want to take. I know you are in Lagos. Have you seen any changes in the governance of Lagos? As the
The
government,
administration, you know.
Ever be this happen?
she report to change the government in Lagos State
New administration
administration that
taking
we have
over from Sanwo-Olu.
from Sanwo-Olu, that we have, and
It's frozen. You think it's
it's
frozen?
frozen.
It's
The
frozen.
question is going to
Question yẹn gan ó lè ó jẹ́
I'm
kí èmi náà
glad that
èmi gan fẹ́
I'm
ṣubú
glad.
lórí chair tí mo ti jókòó pẹ̀lú ẹ̀rín.
But you know, Otunba, I'm happy that we have a legal lawyer that has actually
Yes.
confirmed that she is inciting insurrection, and it could harm our cause. So I'm happy that Mr. Femi
He's
has
here
actually
now. He's here
confirmed
now. I
that.
think
It's
he's
back.
back now. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
back.
so sorry. A call came in and obstructed the
No,
network.
that's
So
fine.
sorry about that.
That's fine. That's fine.
I was
Yeah.
just saying, Mr. Femi, that I'm happy that you confirmed that her utterances is actually inciting insurrection, and that is a treasonable offense under the
Yeah,
Nigerian law as a sovereign
yeah.
state.
I
So
think you
I'm
didn't
happy
hear.
that
Sorry,
that's been
Buki, you didn't
confirmed.
hear Otumba's question because you know.
No, I did
Before
hear
you
his
went.
question.
No,
I
I'm
did.
talking about Mr. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay,
about
Mr. Femi.
Mr.
Okay.
Olufemi. He didn't
Yes, I
hear.
didn't hear the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I think you should let
Okay,
him answer. Otumba, yeah.
Mombere, and it's my duty. I think I'm within my right to ask you. Ṣé àwa tá ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní Nàìjíríà, have you seen any changes? Ìyẹn ti ní pé bóyá government, or because what we are hearing here from the broadcasting station wọn, àwọn tí wọ́n náà ti declare ni pé àwọn ti occupy, wọ́n ti
New
lọ
administration.
lẹ́tà.
Ẹ kúkú sọ pé new administration ti take over from Sanwo-Olu.
Wọ́n dẹ̀ ti mú lẹ́tà. Wọ́n ti mú lẹ́tà lọ sí ọ́fíìsì Sanwó-Olú, wọ́n ti fún ní ṣé deadline àbí kí wọ́n fún
Ultimatum.
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 Àti ìjọba ìkọ̀kọ̀ mi báyìí o.
You have answered
Torí ibi làwa wà ó mọ nǹkan tó ń lọ.
Well, again, I just want to give everybody 1 more minute to round up. It has been my pleasure having you guys with me, and I've discussed one or two things that bothers me. The debacle of the election and the design. Thank God that we have somebody on the ground who is also an economist who knows at least his onions. He knows exactly what is going on there. It's a political. In fact, the word he used is very interesting. Councillor Lambert was re-inked. You know, she re-inked.
Re-inked, yeah.
That was very
Which-
interesting.
Yeah, that's actually the case.
Yeah, because he said it wasn't a redesign. It wasn't any word during ink. So which means the only difference was the ink around it.
Yes, sir.
Nothing else
Yes,
changed.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
let me just give everybody just 2 minutes to let us round up. Let me start with you, Olufemi from Lagos. What's your take from tonight's discussion? And I know it's supposed to be wider, but what do you think the way Nigeria is being governed? What do you think? I will don't use the word that is not properly. Tell me what I should know, or our listeners should know, that because of this, governance in Nigeria is zero. It's not. It's just not on. What do you want to say?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Basically, I would just say that it's we have come to a time in our lives where we must agree to move on. We must agree to proceed, to progress. And the agitation for the Yoruba nation right now, as it stands, is in need of sincere and honest persons and parties who are actually intentional about the agitation, because it's a very, very sensitive issue, and it has to be pursued carefully. If not, if we introduce any alien factor, or we begin to germinate all sort of interests that would deviate from the most important things, we'll find that we'll be distracting ourselves with the unimportant things, whilst the most important things are going to be left behind. And the most important thing that are going to be left behind, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, is unity. Unity. There's no place where you can say that we are a people without having a united front. There must be a very strong sense of belonging, sense of oneness amongst us, in order for us to actually be a nation. That is what makes us a nation in the first place. It's not just about us discussing it, or about us actually wanting to evolve into a nation of Yoruba people. No, it's about our unity, the interest of pursuing the common humanitarian benefit of all Yoruba people. Now, there is one thing that we must always note. Conflict is a natural incidence of life amongst humans. You cannot avoid conflict. Conflict will come, but we must devise a workable and a sustainable system to, resolve and dissolve conflict. The Yoruba nation that we have known even before time was responsible for alternative dispute resolution, where people have disputes and the disputes are resolved and they still remain friends. Now, this is being sold back to us as if it was brought from some other part of the world. But it is our thing to resolve disputes without keeping grudges. The litigation system is what brought about enmity amongst parties. And now we are going back to the same thing. That's to tell us that we have virtues, we have values, we have wisdom. The Yoruba nation is built with great knowledge. And if we go back to our drawing board and we remind ourselves of our history, which is what binds us together, and we stay together in unity, I can tell you that nothing can tear us apart. But we must be intentional and we must be honest about it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll give the last word to Buki. Let's hear from Councillor Sonny. Your last take. Your what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what my brother, Mr. Olufemi Esquire just said. We are great people with wisdom, with great civilization. It's just that we need to use it to our greatest ability, which we've been found wanting for a long time, because Ijekuje Mondaru, and because we've been, our society been infiltrated, diluted, and therefore we need to retrace our way back. Omoluabi ethos needs to be central to everything we do. We lost our way. We are just like the prodigal sons and daughters in the Bible. We need to retrace our way back home and realize that what other people that want to come and become the peacemakers, who claim that they have wisdom than us, actually they stole them from us. But we just don't know. Until we figure that out, we probably still be in the wilderness, suffering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Sister Buki, your last take.
Yes. Well, I'd like to agree with my two fellow brothers in their submission, is that we must have that oneness. We must have that sense of oneness and unity. As they say, where there is unity, God stands with us. But where there's division, there is darkness. So we want to eliminate the darkness and come into the light of God. And in order to do that, we must be united. We must throw away our frivolous, disagreements, and just come together as one voice. We must remember that we are from one mother and father, and that is what binds us, the blood. So if we can remember those, I think that would hold us in very good stead. And also, we must begin to realize that the ideology of a Yoruba nation is almost like the Bible. It's about preaching a religion, preaching an ideology. So long the more we can actually feed the ideology into the hearts and minds of our people, the more we can create that oneness, and the more we can actually increase in our numbers.
Thank you. Well, what is left for me to say is to thank you, and I want to appreciate those of you that log in from Lagos. It's a sacrifice. I appreciate that. I don't take it for granted. And like I said, most of you have been on the show before. So I generally want to probably see next Friday, if it's going to be possible. Checking with your timetable, I'll ask you first if you're available. Maybe we can have another. I want to thank everybody, and it's an opportunity for me to say, hopefully, next week is going to be another date. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
And have a
Nice
lovely
meeting you.
Bye bye.
Nice
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
Nice.
Nice meeting you,
Okay.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Right. Bye.
Bye.